You have here the point of the heart is the apex, with the base kind of up here at the top. So that's the base and the apex. What I have here is the pulmonary trunk. That's the pulmonary trunk. Here you can see the remnants of the pericardial sac. So the heart actually sits in its own cavity created by the pericardial sac, but we've removed that, and this is what's left. If you look posterior here, you see inferior vena cava, superior vena cava. So like my finger's actually touching in here. Yeah, the coronary sinus is inside. So inferior, superior vena cava. You have here, this is pulmonary vein. Pulmonary veins coming back into the heart from the lungs. Here you have the pulmonary artery. So you can tell this is coming from the pulmonary trunk here. See? So that's leaving the heart, going to the lungs. Also, I don't think this was on your sheet, but I'll just mention it. This is your auricle. Going here and here, auricle. You also have this groove that runs across and along the heart. It's the interventricular groove. Now the outer layer of the heart is composed of epicardium, so that's the outer layer, epicardium. Likewise, inside, what lines the cavities inside is endocardium, and then the actual muscle is myocardium. Okay, so epicardium, endocardium, myocardium. And then this chunk of myocardium here that separates the ventricles is called the interventricular septum.
That's right. The one that mirrors the groove on the outside? No.
Yeah.
It is? Okay.
Then you can see here, this is the left ventricle. I know that it's the left. Oh, and another thing you have to realize, this is one cavity. So this isn't left and right. These is one cavity. This is the left ventricle. We've just cut it. Mm-hmm. All right. We know this because of the thick outer wall as compared to the right ventricle, which has a much smaller outer wall. So left ventricle, right ventricle. You know, this is the left atrium, and the right atrium is up here. It's a little harder to see. See, that would be this cavity up here, the right atrium. Okay, so separating the left ventricle from the left atrium is the bicuspid or mitral valve. That's what this is. And likewise, in the right ventricle, separating the right ventricle from the right atrium is the tricuspid valve here. It's been kind of cut. These valves are anchored to papillary muscle. So this is papillary muscle as well as here. They're anchored to the papillary muscle by chordae tendineae. It's these stringy things are chordae tendineae. And so that keeps the valve from actually prolapsing. So you can see I can't make it prolapse into the atrium, and that keeps blood flowing one direction. The blood only flows this way. Alright, so chordae tendineae anchored to the papillary muscle. A couple more valves we have. Leaving the left ventricle going into the aorta is this semilunar valve called the aortic semilunar valve. Likewise, leaving the right ventricle here, it's really tough to see. This valve up here is leaving the right ventricle and going into the pulmonary trunk. That's called the pulmonary semilunar valve. Alright. And let's just go over and I told you this was the aorta. So let's go over blood flow real quick. So deoxygenated blood coming back from the body comes into the heart through the inferior and superior vena cava. And where is it going to go?
Coronary sinus?
Well, the coronary sinus is actually deoxygenated blood coming back from the heart, also going into
okay.
It's going to go into the aorta's leaving. It's going into the right atrium. So let's see. Right there. Into the right atrium. So then from the right atrium, the blood will pass through the tricuspid valve into the right ventricle, then be pumped out through the pulmonary semilunar valve into the pulmonary trunk. From the pulmonary trunk, the blood will be pumped through pulmonary arteries to the lungs. So at this point, is the blood oxygenated? No. It's artery because it's leaving the heart, but it's not oxygenated. All right. Then once it gets to the lungs, that's where gas exchange is going to occur. The blood will become oxygenated and come back through the pulmonary veins. All right. And let's see here. Pulmonary veins are going to dump into what? This is the pulmonary vein here.
Left ventricle?
Left
atrium.
Atrium. So let's see. Just like we have here. So this is the left atrium. Then, from the left atrium, we'll go through the bicuspid valve to the left ventricle. Then the oxygenated blood will be pumped through the aortic semilunar valve into the aorta and out throughout the body. And that's it.